Hello and welcome to Rotary In Action. I'm your host, Marty Peters, and this evening we have a special group of a couple of people that are here to share with us a very important aspect of Rotary called the Ambassadorial Scholars Program. When we come back, I'll introduce you to some special people that have made a significant difference in many lives as far as a scholarship program around the world with Rotary. Please join me after this break.
They come from different places. They speak different languages. They hold different views. But they all have something in common. They are ambassadors of goodwill, serving the world community. Founded in 1947, the Rotary Foundation's Ambassadorial Scholarships Program is the world's largest privately funded program of its kind. Its purpose? To further understanding and friendly relations among people of different nations. In the wake of World War II, Rotary sent the first group of 18 young men from 7 countries to study abroad and experience new cultures.
Well, I felt honored to be part of the first group. I had no idea how it would spread and grow.
Over the past 50 years, the Scholarships Program has granted more than 29,000 students the opportunity to obtain an international education and to contribute to world peace through the relationships they build. Today, more than 1,200 Rotary scholars serve as ambassadors of goodwill around the world each year. The program's diversity and focus on international understanding attract students of many disciplines.
Welcome back. With us this evening we have 2 special guests. Our first guest is Bozanich, who is an ambassadorial scholar that actually was in Australia some years ago in Sydney and spent a whole year over there and is back to share some time with us this evening. Our second special guest is Cusick, who Wayne is a former district governor who has been the foundation chair in our region, our district, and most importantly has been very responsible in the coordination of all of the programs that are entailed in making these successful ambassadorial programs really work. First of all, Laura, I'd like to ask you, how did you find out about this neat program called Ambassadorial Scholars?
Right. My last year of college, actually, I worked for the library that helped inform students about going abroad. And it was publicized. You had sent us a lot of literature on it. And I had a friend who had applied, and I found out a little bit more about it that way. And so I thought, wow, I knew I'd wanted to advance my education and I wanted to do it in another country. And the scholar program, the Ambassadorial Scholar Program, was really perfect because it allowed that, and that's exactly what it was. So it was really exciting. I thought, yeah.
When you found out about this, what's the process for you, Wayne? Being involved in this, I know it's a vortex of paperwork, but tell us how it works. How does it happen?
Well, Marty, we annually market this program through the local universities and on the websites at rotary.org. And we go through a selection process. We'll have 70 to 120 applicants each year that we pare down to roughly 12 to 15 that we interview. Then we'll select, now our practice is select 2 outbound scholars, such as we did last summer for year 2002-2003. Then we select a scholar, and we set about to have them adopted by a local Rotary Club, one of our 56 here in our San Diego district. And then we do our best to orient the scholar to Rotary over the next year prior to their year that they go abroad.
Boy, It's a lot of work, I know. You mentioned the two that we donate, two scholars we're sending out, but isn't there another program that you're very proud of, the donated scholarship?
Yes, it's a higher maintenance program with the scholars. It's a donated scholarship, and in year 2002-2003, we've donated three, maximum $25,000 each scholarships to developing countries around the world. And we partner with districts in these developing countries such as South Africa and also the sub-Saharan countries of Kenya, Uganda, Eritrea, Tanzania, Ethiopia, so on, and also one of our partner districts, if you will, is Ecuador.
So this is a never-ending process to select a student that comes over, an ambassador from that other country that comes to ours.
Right. They will, our fellow Rotarians in those districts abroad in those developing countries will go through a selection process, much as we do here, and then they will send us at least two bona fide applicants that our district governor and our foundation committee here will review, and our district governor will make the final decision, and then at the appropriate time we'll have the scholar come over and we'll take them under our wing, pay close attention to them for the next academic year, and send them back.
Boy, you know, all the paperwork that goes into this, I know the results, the product at the end is a very special relationship that grows for life. What I'd like to do now is to have our viewers take a look at this next tape. It's a tape that I think is very critical on career paths. Let's look at the tape now.
While its full scope can be measured in numbers, the program's impact on world understanding is reflected in the personal experiences of Rotary scholars.
Because I was sent to Africa, my eyes were opened to the problems of the developing world, the problems of newly independent countries.
The scholarships program opens a window to the culture of a different country.
You're taken out of your small world and suddenly you're in this big world and meeting all these people and being exposed to things and people that you've never been exposed to before.
The experience of being a Rotary scholar prepares future leaders for the challenges of tomorrow.
Long before I became India's ambassador or high commissioner in London, the Rotary appointed me as an ambassador of goodwill when I was young and raw and inexperienced. And in a sense, it trained me for the tasks that one has to face in the world.
Studying abroad influences the scholar's future choices and decisions.
And that experience was so enriching that I became interested in working in international development and in international affairs. It completely changed my career plans, my lifestyle, my future orientation.
In one way or another, you're always going to think back on that experience and it will carry on in what you do and how you interact with others.
It also frequently impacts one's professional path. This was true for Mrs. Sadako Ogata, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
If I had not gone to the United States as a Rotary Fellow, I don't think I would have pursued the study of international relations. This set me on a course that I'm still continuing.
Through the scholarship program, Rotarians invest in ambassadors of goodwill. In turn, Rotary scholars invest their time serving their local and world communities.
Most of my friends in college and before in school went into business, law, medicine, or engineering. I was probably about the only one, or one of the very few, who went into public service. And that's what I've done all my life.
I certainly am indebted to the foundation for having this eye-opening opportunity, for which I hope someday in small ways I can start to repay.
It's very generous in what it gives to you, but it also opens up an opportunity where you can give something to them. It makes you feel good to do that.
It's exciting to see these career paths, and I know after seeing that. Laura, tell us a little bit about how this has affected your choice and your career path in these last years since you've been back from Australia.
Well, actually, it really affected it from even before going, because before you go on the scholarship, you don't actually really, or as a scholar, I really realized the network I was getting involved with, and that is Rotary as an organization. And so while overseas, I actually did a little bit of a career change professionally. I studied the arts. I studied drama and film. So while I was over there, I got a great education that way. But then I also got a lot of contacts through Rotary while I was in Australia. And then when I got back, I continued to be really active with Rotary. And I kind of giggle when I say it, because I just got to know a lot of people who were really interested in what I was doing, Rotary-wise, but also career-wise, and wanted to help me in different ways. And right now, actually, I'm working as an actress in San Diego. I'm currently doing a one-woman show that I wrote, and a lot of that was confidence I gained from my education over there. So it's huge. It really was a huge career shaper and change. And also, I'm really still active in Rotary, and not just here in San Diego, but with my contacts in Australia as well. So it's really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And also, your mom is now on a career path. She's also a Rotarian after this episode.
Yeah.
Are you going to Australia?
Yeah. She came to visit me when I was in Australia, and she was like, wow, it's great. And she came back, and within 2 months from being back from Australia, after visiting me, she was a Rotarian. So it was great.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and I know that all these things sort of are building blocks in life. We never know where we're going to wind up, but it sure is a fun game getting there, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I'd like to, at this time, ask you, Wayne, tell me about this process for these career paths. Do we ever have any plan on where they're going to wind up, or is it just sort of like, let them go?
Well, Marty, we're really proud of the fact that in Rotary International we have roughly 1,300 ambassadorial scholars going abroad each year. Now that could be Japanese scholars coming to the United States or to Argentina, or scholars being selected here going to Ecuador, Kenya, what have you. But we devote a lot of time, energy, and effort in this roughly $12 million a year investment in our youth. And we hope that someday the return on that investment will be the participation and involvement by youth such as Laura. It's an amazing investment, but I think the returns are just outstanding. They just are immeasurable. Yes. What I'd like to do now is to sort of share with us, our guests this afternoon or right now, this tape that we've got on host counselors. And these are the men and women that are making a difference while our ambassador scholars are out of our country and in a visiting country. Let's roll this tape.
The success of the scholarships program is due to the enthusiastic and generous support from Rotarians worldwide. What sets this program apart from others is the essential role played by Rotarian host counselors.
Being a host counselor to an ambassadorial scholar allows a Rotarian to teach an international student about our culture, and it also allows the student to interact daily or weekly in the lives of the people in the country that they're studying in.
For a Rotary scholar in a new environment, the host counselor is an invaluable resource and link to the new culture. For the Rotarian, being a host counselor is a truly rewarding experience.
It's fun sharing our lives and our holidays and Rotary activities with the students, and in turn my family, particularly my children, have benefited from learning about other cultures, other traditions, and other people in different parts of the world.
There is always a long list of counsellors, because once you've done it, surprise, surprise, you'd like to do it again and again and again, and of course we want other Rotarians to do it.
Thank you. The meaning of being a host counselor goes beyond hospitality.
I think it's important as Rotarians that we develop a close relationship with the new generation and help them to establish and develop their leadership qualities and look to them as the Rotarians of the future.
The Rotary Foundation program, designed to develop world peace and understanding, is the best possible way for us to invest in that future world.
Wayne, it's sort of a funny thing to watch that tape and then come back to you, and I want you to sort of share about this experience of host counselors. How do you pick them? How do they come up to the, like cream, rise to the top?
Well, these are all volunteers, Marty, and we have over 3,500 Rotarian business professionals here in our San Diego district to choose from, and many do choose to be involved in this program. And typically what happens is a scholar will arrive from some part of the world into our district. We will have selected a host club counselor, a Rotarian from one of the local Rotary clubs that will have already corresponded with the scholar before the scholar leaves their country. They'll have sent them perhaps maps of the area, tourist ideas, and so on, trying to help acquaint that scholar with the environment here in San Diego. And typically what happens is the host club counselor and family are there at the airport to welcome the scholar when they arrive. And then they have the scholar stay in their home for generally a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks, as they help the scholar acclimate to life here. They will also help the scholar open a checking account, for example, and perhaps take them to their apartment, or if they're living on campus, that's fine too. It helps get them situated, feel at home, and you start that intercultural experiences that hopefully will lead someday to peace and goodwill.
Boy. And I would imagine that as you got off the plane, Laura, and you were in Australia, somebody come up and says, "Good day."
Oh, yeah.
How did it happen with you when you arrived?
Well, actually, I was in contact with my counselor before I got there, and I was very fortunate. I actually had family who lived in Australia, and so I had both of them were there to meet me, and then my host counselor in Australia really became like another family, and I was very active with Rotary, primarily due to my host counselor, because he just really wanted me to be involved in as much as I could be. And so as far as doing speeches, I give a lot of speeches, but any special events they'd have, he would make sure I was there. Also with his family, he would make sure I was there. So it was great. I mean, and also they just really taught me a lot about the culture, but they were really like a family. It was great. It was really, really great.
We're excited. I know if you figure that, I think you said how many scholars a year, Ambassador Scholars, Wayne, are going around now?
Roughly 1,300 scholars are going abroad around the world each year from the Rotary International Ambassadorial Scholarship Program.
And $25,000 per scholar.
Yes, a maximum $25,000 per scholarship today.
It's astounding. And you said something about goodwill and peace. I know that Rotary's whole goal is peace through international understanding, and the Ambassadorial Scholars are sort of that hallmark of why Rotary is investing in these young students. But my question to you, Laura, is one of how has it made you feel since you got back? Just a sort of a quick synopsis. How has it changed you since you arrived back home?
It was interesting, we were talking about this earlier in terms of, one, I definitely became much more aware of what Rotary does in terms of its services around the globe, and then just really realizing how much, one, that is needed in the world, and that as an organization so many different things happened, and that has been really great, because I usually come out of any involvement with Rotary knowing that, one, I've been a part of an organization and always be part of an organization that works to better the situation of the world, and that's a really great thing, and I hope to become a Rotarian one day. But it's been a real inspiration. Working with Rotarians has been great, and finding out how much the world needs and how much each individual's contribution can do to help the situation.
You know, it's lovely that you say that. We've got a tape now of this gentleman who was an Ambassador Scholar by the name of David Kellett. I'd like to introduce that tape now, and we'll come right back.
As a cartoonist studying at the University of Kent, I found the more important side, and indeed the more important side of all the inbound and outbound scholars, is perhaps the sense of cultural exchange. The true purpose of the scholarships, in as much as it is to foster education and study, is to make the world a smaller place. And as you can see, you realize the wonderful community nature of the global village when you see these scholars, as I saw both here and in England, coming from all over the world. My flat, as apartments are called in England, consisted of a student from India, one from Malaysia, one from Greece, and one from Turkey. And in that apartment, we had representatives of Hinduism, of Christianity, of Islam, and of Buddhism. And as you can imagine, the conversations in that apartment, and more importantly, the dinner that we created every night, was absolutely incredible. And it's the kind of experience that just expands your mind to realize what a global community is and what we have in common, however harsh the differences are sometimes, what we do have in common. And that's the true wonder of these scholarships. I mean, as I say, every year 1,200 people from Kenya go to Japan, and from Britain go to Ecuador, and from Nicaragua go to the United States, and from all over the world, these people come together. And it's almost like the germination of a good idea. And I think you know what I mean here is when a good idea sparks, it passes to one person, and that passes on to 2 people, and that passes on to 4 people. And these scholarships do the same thing. It's one person that over the course of your life, you'll touch 2 people in a way, and you'll pass on a little bit of that community nature and the shared humanity. And they'll in turn pass on a little bit. And it's like that pebble dropped in the water that becomes, a ripple across the vast lake. And that's what these scholarships do. It's an incredible work that Rotary does through these scholarships. And you'll see from the other projects today in terms of eradicating polio and microbanking that Rotary does such incredible work in. This is another wonderful, wonderful step that Rotary does in terms of bringing people together, making the world a better place. And speaking as a scholar, I can only thank you from the bottom of my heart for the wonderful year and opportunity that you gave me. And it's an incredible work that this district specifically does. I mean, I know the level of involvement, the level of giving that this district does is truly admirable. And so on behalf of all the inbound scholars and myself as an outbound scholar, I want to thank you for the wonderful, wonderful gift that you've given me and to all of us, and the 1,200 of us around the world. It truly is a gift that I'm going to be unwrapping for the rest of my life. So thank you very, very much.
We're back, and I wanted to ask you, Wayne, after seeing David Kellett, he's been back for a couple of years. Tell us about where he is right now and what he's doing.
Well, David finished his year at the University of Kent in England, studying as a political cartoonist. And he's been back, and he's done a marvelous job in the Los Angeles area now, working for a large newspaper concern, advancing his career, and also making presentations to Rotary clubs in the Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley area to Rotarians who perhaps weren't quite as familiar with our Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship as David can make them be, and because it's the funding from Rotarian donations that make this program possible.
And Laura, what about you? What are you doing to stay involved now, and how do you spend your time?
Right, well, with Wayne and Steve call me, and I always tell them, whenever you want me to be a cheerleader for Rotary, I will be. No, it's true. And I love to come to the events, to speak, to share my experiences. I particularly like to be involved with the outbound scholars, the ones who will be going on a program next year, traveling to another country, because I remember how confusing it can be and how much information there is, and just how much you need to know about what your responsibilities are. And I really like to be there to help answer those questions and, in a sense, orient them, because again, I remember how important and valuable that was before I left. And also to really make them aware of how many opportunities they really do have while they're abroad, and how those opportunities do not end upon returning. That, again, this is an organization you'll forever be a part of. And so I really like to be involved that way. And I also, get to live a little vicariously through them, as they go off on their year, and I love that. So I love to stay involved as much as possible.
Well, thank you. I know that you're excited and passionate about it, as I know Wayne is, but we've always felt that this is the ambassador word, the ambassador of goodwill, to me is the message of goodwill and peace, and you are exemplary as an ambassador, and continue the great work. Right now I'd like to turn it over to, we have another little special tape that I'd like to show you all, and we'll be right back just after this next tape. we're back, and I wanted to ask you, Wayne, you know, we've talked about this process. Tell us more about how people can find out about the Ambassadorial Scholar Program.
Well, Marty, if they will go to www.rotary.org, there will be explicit information about the program itself, how to download the application form, and also where to send it. They can contact any of the 56 Rotary clubs in our district. We'll be more than happy to sit down with them and explain the process and why it's an ambassadorial scholarship particularly.
Mm-hmm. Laura, anything else that you'd like to add? Would you encourage students when they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors in college, or when is it the best time to get thinking about this?
Well, actually, and any time is good. I think it depends on the individual. I mean, if a student's looking for a great cultural experience, you know, to do it during undergraduate, it's also an excellent opportunity for advanced education, because also being in contact with Rotarians, you're in contact with people in the professional world. You're also in contact with a service organization, and many graduates are interested in that as well. And so it really depends on the individual, but I highly encourage it.
Great. So. I want to thank you, Laura, for spending the time with us this evening, and you too, Wayne. You both are exemplary Rotarians, but I think more importantly, I hope we've shared with you this evening that any Rotary Club, whether it's locally here or in another part of the country, all you have to do is ask, and there's a Rotarian that will help you. Oh, yeah. With that, I want to say thank you both for you being here tonight, and we wish you a very special afternoon or evening tonight.